I thought I was building a life with the woman I loved, until she handed me a relationship contract that turned intimacy into a point-based system. She said love wasn't enough anymore, and that I'd have to earn every hug, kiss, and moment of closeness like a transaction logged in her spreadsheet. I never thought I'd find myself typing out one of these stories. Yet here I am, sitting in the quiet of a new apartment, remembering the life I once thought was stable, predictable, and full of mutual affection. My girlfriend of 3 years, Ellie, was someone I once believed I'd spend my future with. We first met during our senior year at university, both of us deep in finance studies, and the connection was instantaneous. After graduation, our careers took us to separate firms within the same city, and a year ago we moved in together. From the outside, everything appeared harmonious. Sure, we had the occasional argument, but our relationship seemed balanced. Physically, emotionally, even logistically. We supported one another's dreams and shared a mutual respect that, at the time, felt rare and precious. I had even begun entertaining the idea of proposing to Ellie within the next year. But then came last month, a period that tore away every illusion I had carefully built around our life together. It began subtly. She started coming home later than usual, her eyes frequently glued to her phone, her laughs shorter, her touch less frequent. When I asked if everything was all right, she brushed off my concerns with casual excuses. Work stress, fatigue, deadlines. I wanted to believe her. I had no reason not to, until one night, during a quiet dinner at home, she put down her fork, looked straight into my eyes, and said something that froze the air between us. "I've been reflecting on us lately," she said with a measured tone that sent my heart into a quiet spiral. Anyone who's ever heard those words knows they're rarely followed by anything uplifting. She proceeded to tell me that she felt she was putting more into the relationship than she was receiving. She claimed she cooked more, cleaned more, managed our social life more efficiently, and even took the initiative more often when it came to intimacy. I was taken aback. We had a chore chart. We took turns. I always thought we maintained a fair balance, including in the bedroom. I told her so, but her reply was ice cold. "That's not how I see it," she said. "I've been tracking everything." For months, she had created a system, a personal audit of our relationship. According to her calculations, she did 70% of the housework and initiated intimacy 80% of the time. I sat there, stunned, as she reached for her iPad and pulled up a spreadsheet. Yes, an actual spreadsheet. It included columns for chores, emotional labor, physical intimacy, future planning discussions, all quantified and color-coded. Then came the real shock. We're going to start measuring our contributions going forward. If there's an imbalance, there will be consequences. I blinked. What do you mean, consequences? For starters, physical intimacy will now depend on your investment in the relationship. No more freebies. I was speechless. She was turning our love life into a transactional exchange, one that required point accumulation. Couldn't believe what I was hearing. When I asked if she was serious, she slid a printed document across the table. A relationship contract, detailed with point values, rules, and penalties. Everything had been structured like a corporate policy. And according to this system, I'd have to earn a certain number of points to unlock physical intimacy. Penalties applied for missed chores or forgotten anniversaries. I pushed the contract away. "This isn't a business arrangement. We're partners, not coworkers," I told her. "That's a convenient excuse," she said, clearly annoyed. "Men always say that when they're held accountable." She mentioned how her new friends at work, especially the women from her networking group, had helped her realize the importance of structure in modern relationships. Suddenly, everything made sense. The shift in her behavior, the sudden obsession with balance and accountability, it all stemmed from this new influence. I asked, "And if I don't sign this?" She replied with a flat voice, "Then we need to reevaluate whether this relationship is meeting both our needs." I asked for time to think, and she granted it, till the weekend. But the new system was to start that night. That very evening, she slept facing the wall. A cold distance now settled between us. The next few days were emotionally suffocating. Every word felt like a negotiation. I cleaned the whole apartment, did the laundry, cooked her favorite meal, testing her system. Later that evening, she cross-checked her spreadsheet and gave me a numb nod. "You've met the threshold," she said. The experience that followed felt robotic and devoid of emotion. Afterward, she pulled out her spreadsheet again and marked it as a completed transaction. I felt nauseated. The next day, I went to see my closest friend, Ryan. When I explained everything, he looked at me like I just described a corporate takeover. "That's not a relationship," he said. "That's a hostile merger." He was right. It wasn't about fairness. It was about control. Whether Ellie had changed or simply revealed her true self, I didn't know. But I did know I couldn't stay. When I returned home, Ellie was back at her spreadsheet. "Made a decision?" she asked. "Yes," I said, sitting across from her. I placed my keys on the table. "I'm not signing, and I'm not staying." She looked shocked. "So you're leaving just because I want accountability?" "No. I'm leaving because you've turned our relationship into a business contract." I had already packed a bag. As I left, she called out, "You'll be back. You'll see I was right." I didn't turn around. The following weeks were hard. I missed the familiarity, but not the cold logic she'd become obsessed with. Her messages shifted from anger to pleading. 3 weeks later, she wrote, "We can adjust the parameters." I didn't reply. One day, I ran into her coworker, Sandra. She said not everyone in the networking group agreed with Ellie's methods. Some had even tried to talk her out of it. I thanked her, but it changed nothing. Ellie had revealed herself. It's been 6 months. I've moved on. Slowly, cautiously. She still sends messages occasionally. The latest read, "I miss us, but there's no us anymore. Just me, building a life where love isn't measured by points and penalties." Looking back, that contract saved me from a future of conditional affection. It wasn't just a deal breaker. It was a revelation. 6 months have drifted by like a quiet tide since I walked away from the relationship that once seemed like my forever. In that time, I have slowly reconstructed the framework of my life, piece by piece, brick by brick, not out of bitterness, but out of a deep-rooted desire to rediscover who I am when I'm not being measured on a spreadsheet or tracked through a series of points and metrics. The apartment I now call home feels different, not because it's bigger or flashier, but because it breathes peace. There are no tensions lingering in the corners, no calculations hiding beneath conversations, and no intimacy reserved as a reward for compliance. Here, love, when it finds me again, will be earned through genuine connection, not performance. Occasionally, I still receive a message from Ellie. Sometimes it's an apology masked as casual check-in. Other times, it's a bitter reminder that she still doesn't understand why I left. "You'll regret walking away from someone who cared enough to structure the relationship," she once wrote. But what she still fails to grasp is that real love isn't something that needs a ledger or scoreboard. Real love doesn't keep tabs. It doesn't require a contract. It lives in the quiet moments, in unsolicited gestures, in open conversations, in vulnerability that doesn't come with penalties. One of her final messages came a month ago. "I miss us," she typed, as if the version of us she engineered ever truly existed. But there is no us anymore. There's just her, still gripping the blueprint of a relationship she could control. And there's me, walking forward into a life where affection is offered freely, not as compensation for labor. I didn't respond, not out of pettiness, but because I had finally learned the value of silence when words are no longer necessary. Looking back, that contract she slid across the table felt like a betrayal, but in a strange, twisted way, it was also a blessing, because it pulled the mask off something I might have otherwise spent years trying to justify. I might have married her, might have raised children in a household where love had to be earned like a monthly bonus. I might have lost myself bit by bit in the name of compromise, until there was nothing left of the man who once believed in partnership over performance. But instead, I walked away, and that decision has become my greatest act of self-respect. Now, when I reflect on that chapter, I don't feel anger as much as clarity. I see the warning signs I missed, the subtle ways control was masquerading as structure, and the cold logic that was slowly replacing warmth. And while the ending was painful, it was necessary. Some lessons are best learned through discomfort. Some realizations require you to step out of the familiar to see the truth clearly. I no longer long for what we had. I mourn what I thought it was. But I cherish what I discovered in its wake, that I deserve a love that doesn't need a contract to be real. So if you've ever found yourself in a relationship where you're being measured instead of loved, where your worth is tallied in points and perks, let this be your sign. You're not crazy for wanting more. You're not selfish for refusing to earn what should be given freely. Love is not a transaction. And the moment it becomes one, it's no longer love. It's a business deal disguised as intimacy. Walk away, not out of spite, but out of self-worth. And in that walk, you'll find something far more valuable than approval. You'll find yourself. Thanks for reading till the end. If you found strength in this story or it resonated with someone you know, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more real-life stories that matter.